Lower Divide mountain bike race is one of the most difficult challenges on Earth. Riders traverse the Great Divide mountain bike route from Banff, Alberta, Canada to the Mexican border, conquering mountain peaks and sizzling deserts. There's no entry fee, no formal registration process, no prizes for finishing the race. So, why did a number of Duluthians accept the 2,745-mile challenge across the country? We will ask Kershaw, a Duluth rider who did finish the race. Also, Leah Gruhn of Duluth completed this year's race. And Jere Mohr, Leah's husband and riding partner, finished the race. Thanks to all of you for being here. Jeremy, the first question, the big question is, why? Why would you take this on?
It's a great question.
It's a good question.
Of course. I've watched it for about 8 years, and it's waxed and waned over the years.
Yeah.
The stars kind of aligned with family and work and my health. And, I think part of it came from just it sounds odd, but the ability to do it. I wanted to try to complete it, and I had the health and the support to try it. And the expanse is such that there's really nothing like it in the world, really, from Canadian Rockies down to basically the Mexican American desert area. And so the appeal was just too great to let it go. Mm-hmm. So we did it.
Mm-hmm. Now the two of you as a married couple have kind of an in-house training partner, I suppose. And maybe both of you could speak to what you did together and individually to kind of prepare for this separately, individually, mentally and physically.
Yeah, so in the past 5 or 6 years, we've gotten into some long distance bike races, but nothing anywhere near this long. And so what we actually did is we found a coach online who offers training plans, and she had a plan that was kind of tailored for this particular event that we tackled together. So it's like there were workouts each day kind of set up for us. And so but it was really nice to have a partner in that, so we could kind of hold each other accountable and encourage each other.
Mm-hmm. Leah?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. And I mean, I don't know that, like mentally, I don't know if you are ever ready, because you got out there and it was like, oh my, just the expanse of the event was quite a lot. But definitely, that training helped mentally. Another thing that we did is we did some races this spring, some other bike races and events leading up to it.
Any one of you can answer this question, I guess. Where did you physically find in this long journey the roughest spots? Were there several of them, or was there one area which you found incredibly tough to bicycle in?
Yeah, for me it was in Colorado. Just because I guess what's unique about Colorado is it's higher elevation than other parts of the other states on average. So I got to the point where just being up at high altitude for days on end, my body was just kind of at a point where it needed some rest. And so I took a day off, went into urgent care just to see if there's anything easily treatable, just because I felt so weak compared to how I had felt previously in the event. So that was really good. Then I took a rest day, got an inhaler, did some things, and then went out the next day and felt a lot better.
Jere, how about yourself?
Yeah, I would agree. I think where it really starts to take a toll physically was like southern Colorado. You're at high elevation. I think we were above 9,000 feet for several days, where you never drop below 9,000 feet, and that really starts to take a toll on your body.
Yeah, Jeremy, same thing.
Yeah, I think New Mexico actually was where I think I really started feeling. And then there was a every day there. As I processed this, there always seemed to be something that was really unexpected, either a snow field that you had to walk across, or a reroute, or something that just didn't quite fit into your plan for the day. Yeah. And you realize that your plan for the day was always, it had to be very dynamic.
It's good to be flexible.
And so, but by New Mexico, there was a middle section of about 160 miles that really was very slow, very hot. It was high up and just hard to get a rhythm. And I think it was coming on the heels of feeling probably the most tired of the course. So it was kind of this daily mix, and then the big picture too. Sure. So
Speaking of pictures, we have some that are coming up. If you want to just walk us through them quickly.
This was one of the dodgiest places I camped. Was behind a Love's truck stop in Wamsutter, Wyoming. nothing happened. It was great, but one highlight for I think myself and a number of riders was we didn't know where we'd sleep every night, and so I slept out every night except for one, and it became one of the highlights of the whole day was to find a place to unroll my sleeping bag and crash for the night, literally. Well, not literally, but almost. This was with the last gravel section coming through southern New Mexico, and I started to really, I think most people kind of feel like they've got it in the bag by this point. We had about 15 miles left. The last 70 miles or so is actually paved. We met lots of great people along the route, of course. In the middle of the Gila wilderness and desert area, there was a ranching family that just had gallons of water left out for riders, and some sweet tarts and some cinnamon graham crackers. Are like, it was the best food you've ever had in your life.
Wow.
Day one, leaving Banff was exceptionally wild, and I think at about mile 25, I knew I had a point where I stopped and was like, what the heck did I just get myself into?
Sure.
And which included day one, a lot of mud. It was ironically one of the toughest days of the whole route was the terrain, and also this was part of a hike-a-bike at about 9 o'clock right now.
So how well did the bicycles hold up?
Unbelievably, I myself had no flats between Canada's 2,700 miles of zero flats.
Really?
Same for me.
And I was very fortunate to have a very solid bike. So lucky, and you hear stories of that, of no flats. I couldn't believe the abuse I put through my tires and rigged through. And in fact, I think I was packing the bike up in New Mexico, and I noticed my rear tire was getting a little low.
Leah, were the bicyclists spread out over many miles? I mean, you didn't stay as one group.
No, everyone, there were nearly 200 people who started at the same time from Banff. And people definitely did get spread out, but then there'd be kind of these like groups of people. So we were traveling in a group of about 10 people or so that are all, you're moving at the same speed. So you're not necessarily with them during the day, but you might meet up at lunch if you stop, or, in the nighttime. So
So you split up during the course of the race,
We
right?
did. When Leah decided to take her rest day in southern Colorado, we decided that it made sense for me to keep going. I mean, we had hoped to ride the whole thing together, but we also knew that a lot can happen over 2,700 miles, and so we had kind of prepared for the possibility that we might have to split up. And at that point, we weren't sure what the diagnosis from the doctor was going to be and if she was going to be able to continue, and so we decided it made sense for me to keep going. There were actually two other guys from Duluth riding the race who were about 5 miles ahead of me at that point, so I ended up catching up to them and riding with them the rest of the time, and Leah finished about a day and a half behind me.
Now, could part of it have been the diet, sweet tarts and popcorn? I mean, when you're fueling your body, it's hard to operate on food like that. What was it like out there, kind of being unsupported and having to carry your own food and scrap for food?
Right, so you're, as someone put it out there, you're eating out of the vending machine, because it's, it's potato chips and candy bars and that kind of stuff.
Whatever you can get your hands
on.
on.
And then when you do get to towns and there's a restaurant, lots of times we would stop and eat. But the menu there would be oftentimes just like burgers and fries, and I'm vegetarian, and so it would be a grilled cheese and fries, and that just got old. And I think it was tolerable for the first week and a half to just kind of eat whatever you could, and then after that point is when I started realizing wow, this is really hard to eat this way and yet be asking my body to be working like this.
Well, you got your feet wet on one of the granddaddies of all bike rides in the world. Are any of you considering doing something like this again?
Yes, but I don't know
Little
exactly.
hesitation there.
I don't know exactly. There's events around the world that there's a very historic bike race from Paris out to the western coast of France and back, and it's tens of years old. I mean, it's a long event, and it's got this great history, and it's a really different type of flavor of long distance.
Aside from the ride, you must have seen some fabulous scenery.
Oh,
every day you'd stop and I'd stop and get off the bike and take photos, or just look around and be just blown away with the scenery. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It was always unexpected too. You'd be in somewhere that maybe wasn't that scenic, and then you'd come around a corner and see this huge mountain range in Colorado. And I'd be like, oh my, I wasn't expecting this. Is incredible. And yet there'd be nobody there. You'd be on some little gravel road.
Got better after every turn. Huh?
I was just blown away by it. It's like, if I wasn't doing this event, there's no way I'd be in this spot. It's just some of these magical spots that this route traverses that you'd never be able to find on your own.
Having 7 people from Duluth out of 200 seems like we're really overly represented there. Is there a real emphasis on extreme riding in this area, or a reputation around here that there are so many people who are interested from this area?
I don't know. I asked a woman that keeps tabs on people that are registered, and she did not know of any other city in the world that had so many representatives.
Really?
London, Australia, anywhere in the world, and I'm still trying to figure that out too. We have some very talented athletes in the city and the area, and in fact, there's probably 2 or 3 other people I'd name that had considered it for this year even. So. I don't know what's in the water here, but it's it's impressive, and it was really cool to see so many of us finish.
Well, and I think one of the things that this race has that's a little different is it's more than just a bike race. I mean, you need to have more outdoor skills, camping, and kind of survival skills too, that I think a lot of people in this area have through different experiences.
You must have also met some incredible people.
Yes.
Yes.
Not just incredible scenery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People from all over the world.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, at one point, towards the end, I was riding with a 60-year-old from Italy, a 68-year-old from France, and then a 70-year-old from Tallahassee. So now he's the oldest guy to ever finish it. Yeah.
It's not too late.
We're just about out of time, but from each of you, more physical or more psychological?
Psychological.
Psychological?
Physical.
And certainly psychological. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we've got to go, so we thank you very much. Appreciate telling the story. It was fabulous.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.